All right, welcome to another segment, and on this one we are going to sort of touch on concepts related to depression and path to God and our purpose in life. I think that's the nutshell of it, but without pointing out exactly what the discussion will be about, let's pick up from our guest.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having us, and so good to talk about these matters. And I don't know what we have, but let's see.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so we were talking just before behind the camera about the concept of enlightenment and having a one path to God and a path to God versus God being a part of us and us being of God and from God and all that. And then there is the we touched on enlightenment and achieving a purpose and all those other things. But then, how has this path been like for you?
It has been so amazing, as it is felt, and mostly it has sides of. I think I came to see it with its two sides of faces. The first side of face is the right hand. The first side of the face is the left, and the left is the negative side, and the right is the positive side. So both the negative and the positive work together. So there's nothing like bad isn't bad to kill you, but every bad is built for a reason to help humanity's soul. Yeah, and also the positive is there to encourage you to keep on moving. It's like giving a sweet to a baby who still wants to move on forward. And the times when you are training them to walk by themselves, it becomes so difficult for them to take that route. Why? Because they feel it's not fair for them. But sometimes, and mainly, is necessary. So I think my process of life has been fair to me, even when I thought it wasn't fair.
So, what would be the times that you thought it wasn't fair? Because what really is the problem is most people get to meet people after they have reached this great height.
Okay.
That's when you become visible. When you have reached a point where you have achieved success, or you look balanced in life. You look like you've got wisdom of God or greater men than the average man. That's when people look and go like, wow, that's interesting. But no one is there to watch while you get there.
Okay.
So I don't know if you believe you've achieved the greatest heights, but let me speak for myself on this one. I would like to think we are still on the path to the greatest heights, and we get to have the privilege to talk about it.
Yes.
While we still remember the process. In which case, I would like for you to share some of the experiences that you might think would be harder to overcome or be looked at as negative or bad, for example, in your process.
Yeah.
And then we'll later on just quickly touch on why they might have been necessary.
Yeah. I'm not at the peak of my life right now, but I think I'm with what I have to be with.
Which means in that last conclusion, if you died tomorrow, this would be the best you'd be at, and it's fine.
I think, yeah, because I'm having a hand of the source that materializes this being here. So that's the hope of my walking forward. And then every hope is built from a place where you've come out from struggle, and you're also struggling and still making out, walking out of the struggles victoriously. I think you understand what I'm talking about.
So, I hear what you're talking about. Yes. I just think you're crafting it for the common person, which is, I think, is a common danger that we have planted most of the time.
Oh yeah.
So because when you say struggle, you can't struggle with something good. When you say victorious, it implies some degree of victory, raising above an oppression or something that was negative.
Oh, yeah.
When you use the term negative, it really just means negative. So when you say,
I think that's Doc. I think that's the place again where I've heard it found it difficult to talk to people.
yes,
Because where you would mean a word as in just using it for the reason of pointing something, and someone may pick it as in the bad side of it. But now I think one thing that we should come to understand and agree, all of us, is that we have poor words. I think we have a poverty of words.
I don't think we have a poverty,
of words.
I understand what you mean, but
Yes.
let me reframe it. I think our situation and our crisis is that the words that we have been designed for the way we have been taught to look at life.
And that's poverty.
That's the reason why we had these words.
Yes.
But now there is another way to look at life that requires new words, and we are not making them. You who wants to say what you want to say, why don't you make a new word for it?
I think words come out from the understanding of each other's, each other's vibrations. Let me use the word.
Let's
or
go with
influence.
vibration. That's all right.
Yes.
Yes.
So where I say something and your expression agrees to exactly what I say it, then I hear that you understand. But what if every word I'm speaking, you are responding them differently from what I'm saying?
Because we have moved from, when you say vibrations,
Yes.
A word should not communicate in dictionary meaning. It should communicate in spiritual meaning. You should have a feeling of what I'm saying, not a memory of what I'm saying. If my words to you translate into a feeling, that's what you are implying. So when I speak to you, you should understand what I'm saying, not in words, but in a holistic sort of arrangement in which what I'm saying has got triggers this thing that you feel, and an inner being between you and me, the soul inside you is communicating to mine.
Wow.
No, and we are only using voice as a medium of communication. Now, in the old days,
I think you're talking about assets now.
we used to do that a lot in the old days, like the dancing. You would dance to communicate something. You would sing to communicate something. You would say some things are better not said, they're sung. In our culture, we do that a lot.
Wow.
Like we need to communicate something, then they do a series of songs and acts of that. So the whole message that you're communicating to this person is crafted into art and play and song, because no one word will explain all that.
I think it's also coming to the place of saying we have a lot of words around us. Is that what you're saying?
We have a lot of useless words
in colors, in scent, in the designing of our shoes and our clothes, and I think we are coming out. We're going to go back to the place where we're talking about intentions. There's one point I want to state, like there are three prosperities and properties that God gives men, and this wisdom, knowledge, understanding. And because knowledge is the material, understanding is the knowing of how to lay the materials, and wisdom is actually the complete picture of how this thing has to come out.
Okay.
Yes.
Now.
So if we're talking about these assets, wisdom, understanding, knowledge, so these are assets that we need to possess. Outside there, we are going to build the assets physically that are coming out from that embodied materials of I don't know what you're saying concerning that.
Yes, I hear exactly what you're saying, and yes, that's true. But if we follow it that way, and we have been given these assets which are part of us and are within
disasters.
So they've given us these assets, right? Which are, in a way, the way you explain them, they come out like tools to achieve something. But then we must also realize that in all this embodiment of self,
Yes.
you are you are supposed to be a collection of these assets in the form in which they have been given to you. Now, the forms of wisdom you have been given are not the forms of wisdom I might have been given. So wisdom also has got its forms, and in that it is apart and then it is together. So it is all wisdom, but it is wisdom in streaks, in bits, and it can accumulate and it can reduce and it can expand and it can shrink only when it's necessary, which means you have everything you need when you need it, which is part of the things you say.
Is it like you're telling me now that God explaining our existence through just from the air, land, trees, and these are books? That now we are look around, we are reading these books. If you're able to hear what the wind right now is telling us, you'll be able to communicate exactly the place and the thoughts that you need to harness and the thoughts you need to reject.
Only if you're willing.
But I'm talking about from that picture.
Yes, only if you're willing. Yes, absolutely. Yes. There are books, we can read them, but we only have to be willing to read them. Now, again, this goes to what we used to in so there is in the Judaic traditions and culture and Christianity in that case, there is prophets, everything and all that, who have been given the message from God. But how does God speak to someone? Okay, Moses had a burning bush and a voice came from it. Fine. What about the other one? Joseph had a dream. Okay, let's go with that. What about this other person? What about this other person? You realize that the ways of communicating of God, even when they are described in the Bible, in this case, since we are Christian oriented, is there was a strong wind, and then there was this, and then there was fire, and then there was a voice. The most complicated communication that God ever gave to anyone in the biblical sense would have been the one given to Ezekiel. Ezekiel, when the chariot came and lifted him up to the heavens and showed him the design of this and everything else, that was like, it's the longest interaction of man with God that has been recorded in the Bible in one sitting, if you like. And it's quite complicated, and when he describes everything around it, it is confusing. But it is confusing until he later on he is made to understand it. So are we looking for the message, or are we looking for the understanding of the message? Are we looking for the tools, or are we looking for the knowledge to handle the tools? Where are we in our path as individuals? And what do we want to purpose those things for? So in that path, then we have the words that we have created to try and ease the path between you and me. If you want to tell me how to walk my path to enlightenment, you start with the physical words, sound, vibration in my ears, transmitting to my mind. But my mind has to be receptive and then must be open to the dynamics of what that might mean beyond the words.
Okay.
And if we can't go beyond the words, then we only have words. And that's where most of us remain, where we are looking at the words and we go like, we need to be successful. Successful how? No, you need to be a responsible human being. Responsible for what? No, you have to be productive human being. What will I produce? Then you go and produce a chair, and you think you have produced a chair, but this is wood. It was there. Are you producing anything? Now, if you come to the realization that you're one with God, you must realize that your production must be like creation.
Okay.
Create things that are notes. So producing a chair, producing a cell phone, is it really being productive? Yeah, from a spiritual sense of productivity. And driving the flock back to God, is that being productive, or they are already God's flock anyway?
I think for me, production, I've seen it from this side where we have this rubble, the planet, and I think this is where a lot of things have been thrown to, right? We talked about, people call it hell, if they can, others they call it whatever. So, but from this place, we are able to, construct meaningful words that should come from the real intention. And one thing is, if God was to judge us, He's not judging us by the words and the colors of our skins and the way we are dressing today, but He's judging us based on what property have we built, and that property, what is it speaking? Because you have mentioned to say, look, what you intend to do is materialized out there. And that thing that you build has also the details of how you created it.
Yes.
Even though it is just a building like this.
Yes.
Even though it's just like this. But there's an intention which is from the human point or from God's.
And depending upon what drives you, your manifestation externally will actually show the vibrations.
Exactly.
And those vibrations are what someone has to master.
Wow.
Now, if you don't master how to communicate your vibrations, and you're restricted in your language of communication to words and voice, then you get stuck.
And can become a problem there.
Yeah, that's where now your intention and your available ability tools are not in sync. That's where there's that school you mentioned. What was it you called it? The school that you do?
The school, is it
the one for walking people through the path to enlightenment?
Okay,
you had called it something. The training that you do for people. That
Five-fold ministry?
That's what it's called?
It's called the Five-fold ministry.
All right.
Yes, the Five-fold ministry is a training. These are offices of the apostles. There's an office of an apostle, pastor, teacher, evangelist, and teachers. These are offices. These offices are governing the governments of the earth.
Understood.
Yeah.
That's now one a hand below and hand hand above.
Yeah, yes.
But now you mentioned that
this other hand below is God's hand.
Yes.
Intention of making man.
Understood.
This hand above is a hand of God. Intention of redeeming man.
So now, here comes now you, and you want to help an individual walk from point A to point B to achieve their purpose, to harness the full potential of the assets. How do you do that? How do you help them?
Now, the first thing is to understand their core purpose, spirit within them. What is it kicking to? What is it driving to? What is that spirit trying to speak? So, to the area of where the spirit is pushing your heart to. Even Jesus Christ says this word. It says, where your treasure is, your heart also is there. You understand? So, everyone's treasure attracts everyone's heart. And everyone's heart picks out the intention of that treasure he is looking for.
So how does one make sure that they're not looking for the wrong treasure?
So now, number one is to help them come out from the places where they can be polluted by the tax masters.
I see.
Yeah, so there are tax masters who are greedy and have known how to manifest these things out, and they will not want you to have your own, but they want you to use you. They want to use you for their own.
Understood.
So now, instead of you thinking by your own freedom mind, you'll be thinking through the system's own thoughts, and you become maybe
back to being a slave in Babylon.
Yeah, others become maybe the teachers, others become the word, but they have not known how to influence their own. Even without that, without the people, they are angels who are benefiting from the mechanism of what you are.
Explain that a little bit about angels benefiting.
I mean, that can be maybe another topic, because I feel I'm not even allowed to say it.
I understand where you're going with it. That's why I asked you to talk about it. Anyway, thank you very much for today.
Because there's a lot of things happening right now.
Okay.
As you're speaking, there are ants that are actually playing your words right now.
I understand what you're saying.
I see.
Thank you very much for today. We'll continue.
That was a wonderful topic. Wow.
Attention deficiency disorder.
Attention
Insanity.
deficient. Insanity.
We speak for the 100 silent voices.
and embrace everyone as one.